Right. Hello, everybody that's here. I may have a little bit of a hiccup with the program that I use to record myself. Maybe it's fixed right now. See, is it fixed or is it still broken? Let's find out. It just worked. It was just. Oh, there I am. Hello. Well, this. First of all, happy birthday to Lego. Like 89 years. That's a very long time. Also today is for some part of the world a very special as well. Bionicle Day. Even though, as a European myself, I think it's rather bullshit that we use American way of counting month, day, then year. But I understand no, not every day can be October 8th. So, but yeah, I hope everything in the stream is working as it should be. I am going to have to check regularly, so that's why I'm going to be from my phone to my computer screen. Time to time, it's a problem. This is literally done with zero budget. So if you have any questions during the stream, you can put them in the chat. I will also be going on Twitter time to time. Maybe you can add things on there. Who knows? I've never done such a thing because this is probably the first time I'm going to let this information out of my brain and onto something. Not like I haven't written any of it down. Like I started 2017, I started writing, didn't make it much more further than the first chapter, and since then the story has changed already. So, by the way, I'm also going to be, because I think this is going to be a series, because I can't just keep for how long this will take, because in my mind it's like 6 books that are this thick of information. I have a box of my marks right here to give a little bit of a visual aid. First part of the story, I don't really have all of the marks already unboxed yet. I'm living in this house for months. Still don't know what everything is, so yeah, that's just something I have to deal with. But yeah, I guess how many viewers do we have? We have 3 at the moment. If you're in chat, say hi in chat. Are always like a bit of an involvement, so that it actually feels like I'm speaking to somebody. But it isn't a requirement. So yeah, you have to think about the things I'm going to say, because I don't know if I should start the story at the beginning where the important stuff starts, or I should just begin with all the backstory. But I think I'm going to do just to start the story. Check just for a moment. I have it on here. Otherwise, I will be using the most spectacular tech that has ever existed in the world. Won't believe you see it. It is, of course, soft paint. I can see on the stream it's working. I can already hear a bit on the stream that my voice is a little bit cutting out, which is strange because I checked everything, but hey, it's going the way it's going, and that's how it. Let's see. Um, face. Is the face cam registering, or is it just a black screen? Alright, it has fixed itself. Don't know if it was visible on stream, but basically this entire story is kind of like a journey, or it wasn't supposed to be myself. I put a little bit of my personality in it, but of course the main character of fan fiction is a self-insert. Because whose isn't? Whose isn't? I'm sorry if you hear the dog. Shouldn't be an issue for the stream. Right? So before I get started, I'm going to check a few more things. Sorry if I'm dragging on a bit long. You wish you could get MS Paint running again. Why? Is it broken? Because it's like a program that's already on your computer. I don't get why it should be broken. Strange and all, but yeah, I think I'm starting the story. See if I can get some background music for it. Maybe that'll make it interesting to listen to. Maybe. Any recommendations for bionicle type music? Like that's not the Motunui game. Let's see. Listen to this for a moment. It's not. It's a bit loud. I think we're just going to be doing back with the Motunui Online. That's probably the best choice. So let me know if you can hear me for a moment. For the past 2 years, I've been using a MacBook. That's a shame. Just listen if the music is loud. Am I still audible? It's the I think maybe this is even audible. So we're going to start where it basically all ended. Big clash with Motunui and Makura Terra. Let's go over to Paint so I can basically show you what is happening. So we obviously have like this is two pencil. we have the prototype robot with Matanui in it, which we will with green. Very simple, very crude. This is supposed to look like this. I am not doing this on high budget. And of course we have the big bad, Makuta Pterodax, in the Matanui robot. They are obviously fighting. Everybody knows how the battle goes. Like they all make blows towards each other. Like in the end, Matanui manages to push Makuta Pterodax into the path of that is not the right color. Few chunks of Aqua Magna from flying through the air and basically just off him. The meteorites, they crash through his skull and well, they go out the other side, of course. That makes him just like dead. Of course it does. Well, because that happened, Matanui, of course, is like, oh, I have to save the it's not one. Biel goes like, oh, saving everyone by creating the planet anew, uniting the pieces again. Everybody knows how the story goes. It's like it has been since 2010. This has been knowledge. So that's all what we know that happened, of course. Hold on, I'm going to turn the music off. I'm sorry, but I cannot talk with music on. There's a dog in the background. Embarrassing stuff. But during the battle, something happened. Something triggered while they were fighting. Like we have the tool. Here we have like the desert floor with some few mountains on it. You know all the stuff. The moment Makuta Pterodax stepped his ugly stompers back on the planet, because the Matanui robot was connected to the great beings, something that looks like a Toa pod from the Mata series, going to be very quickly going back to the normal camera. Oh, let's see if it works. Well, because it entered the atmosphere again, it entered the range of all technology from the great beings. And that was basically just getting reactivated all the time. Just checking. Yes, it works. So imagine this as a Toa pod, but it's bigger. Like if you get a Toa beside it, it's very large. It's like a fully contained ship. It is stuck between a few rocks, like it's almost been placed there deliberately by the person who was piloting it originally. Inside of that canister, or basically escape pod, technology starts reactivating because the thing that originally was supposed to power it is back planet. It's back in range, and its presence reactivates the systems within. But before anything could happen to it, Matanui reformed the planet, which made those islands, made those mountains become islands, tectonic plates shifting all over the place. It got buried on some part of an island, which I used to call Rakanui in the original days. I don't have a name for it right now. Remembering stuff is hard. Half of the characters I have created from the story I don't remember. very much embarrassing. What do you gotta do, eh? So 50 years pass. 50 years after the reformation of the planet. Then the Toa Mata, or the Toa Nuva, I should say, they get an idea. Because they keep finding ancient stuff, not from the olden days before like the robots, like yeah, exactly, before the days of the Martinelli robot. They find stuff that the great beings have left, pieces of technology, ancient tablets, information that they cannot read because it's in language they don't know. So the Toa Nuva, they construct a ship, and I'm going to use a Lego Avengers Quinjet for this. It's just a rocket jet, basically. They get on board, stock up whatever they need, they go off into space, following the last known signal the great beings they left. Because I personally don't know very much about great being lore. I've read some about it, but it's a little bit too convoluted in some ways, so I made it convoluted in my own ways. But yeah, that's the thing with a story that isn't told anymore. Basically say whatever you want, and to you it can be true. So yeah, they go off into space. They go from planet to planet, from space station to space station. Everything they find is abandoned. 50 years after that, when they are still in space, to water. When they are in space, back on Spheres Magna, life is pretty. Life is pretty good. I'm going to be illustrating it. Some paint, of course. Um, all that. Oh, I can't delete that. All right. So there's of course there's a very big ocean, and there are giant bits of land strewn over the planet. Like unlike what we have on Earth. This isn't good. To draw the scale on itself. Nope. And of course, every place has in some place a large city to have their people on, of course. Imagine each of these continents are like bigger than any continent on Earth. But on basically what is the center of the planet, there is a very, very, very big city right here, the coastline. That planet, that city is basically called the City of Life, because it is constructed of that same prototype robot that Matanui used to defeat Makuri. Like, the body is still laying in there, very silently, just being used as a city. Some very large part of the coast, I'm going to move this down so I can tell it better. There are smaller groups of islands, of course, everywhere scattered around, and above here we have Rakanui. Like this is a very, very crude drawing of a drawing I once did, like in 2015. But if you were around on Google Plus in those days, you probably know about it. It's more like located over. In the story I'm telling, it's basically twice the size of the island of Matanui, and it's populated by Matoran, Agori, Toa, Matorian. Like every single like basic sentient race has a place there, and there are a few cities, settlements, all named after the original cities of the island of Matanui, like Takoro, Gakoro, you name it. But way above that, very high, there are the more dangerous parts of the ocean, because there's a big, very large ocean, which is basically like territory you should not go, because that is where one island group over here, which basically are islands which were created when Nakuda Pterodax, when in the big Matanui robot form, shot off a beam of like the same energy that Matanui used to reform the planet. Like I basically called it a terraformer beam, but he shot it in one singular place with such power that at that point there, when at the time it became like a mountain, but of course over time when oceans started rising again, it became a few islands where it's always storming. Even Matanui's own power to recreate the planet couldn't stop that island group from healing, basically. It became just a death trap. She should of course go. But more to the west of that, there is an island that looks very familiar. I hope I can draw this again. Let's see. Yeah, I know it. There's an island that basically looks like the, yeah, I can't draw it, but imagine this looks like the island of Matanui, because that's basically what it is. It's a barren, rotten, dead version of the island of Matanui, with a big hole in the center that looks down into the head of the big Matanui robot. This is its final resting place. And I'm drawing this way out of scale, but it's basically like laying on the ocean floor right here. And it's basically uncharted terrain because of that. Because the radiation that's still inside of, because right here is Metronui. If you stand on the edge of the hole inside of the island, you can see Metronui. And well, hold on. On that island there is also an outpost, but who in their right mind think to live there? Well, if I go inside of my box of mods, I can show you who's currently residing. This is the main lieutenant of the new brotherhood. As you can see, it's basically a descendant of the Skrull clan. Just broke it. Oh no, I didn't break it. It's an old mock, so it falls apart easily. Whole. So sorry. So this is head commander of the New Brotherhood, a cult created approximately, let's say, 75 years after the formation. So 25 years after Toanuva left. They were created by someone which identity shall remain hidden for a moment. But what they did know, I should rephrase that, the New Brotherhood is basically from all the older allies from Makuta Pterodax, willingly or unwillingly, like the scroll, like this guy is, they were recruited by an individual that felt like the rule on the planet currently wasn't right. He didn't feel that because in my story, the City of Life, which I explained a little bit earlier, it's the main capital of the planet. And it's run mostly by Order of Montanui. And the Tolomari also have a saying, because, well, they were a big deal, of course. They basically revived Montanui with some actions from Toro Hero. But yeah, what should I say? Yeah, the leader of the New Brotherhood, which named itself, of course, after the Brotherhood of Makutas, which, yeah, none of them have survived, except for one and one other. I say nobody has survived, but two survivors. That's still pretty much. And one of those survivors, you know what? I'm not going to say that. Say that. If I'm going to make more parts of this, I want to keep that a secret. Because even though I'm spilling the beans here, basically everything, I still want some secrets or told later. And I'm still busy talking about the backstory of this world and not in the main story yet. So yeah, this is going to be a series, I think. I think um um uh yeah, so for the in the story now, for the past 25 years, New Brotherhood have established their base on the dead island of Matanui, which has the big hole in it that goes to Natranui because that's where the body is from as well. And they are trying to revive Pterodax because they believe he is still alive. Which, spoiler alert, he is, and it's not a Palpatine situation where we get no explanation if he survived. I thought this through. Because I'm going to show him now. This guy, this mysterious fellow, is the leader of that cult, which is this is his right hand basically. Basically, very simple telling. Megatron, Starscream, but Starscream won't stand in it. So this is basically like Soundwave, Megatron, Soundwave. Even though in the world of Bionicle they have masks which obscure their normal face with the powers or just their identity, this guy has a completely blank mask, which is actually hiding the actual face because I would say his original species does not wear masks. They just have a head. He just hides his face, and it's basically like a LED screen which he uses to intimidate some people, flashing lights, something. This is an intimidation tactic, just like the kids, because he likes that. The funny thing is, he doesn't even show up until the second part of the story, because he is only going to be important from that moment forward, because he's doing everything behind the shadows and letting others do the dirty work, basically. But for the past 25 years, the New Brotherhood, which at that point are a little bit of a small nuisance, they are consistence of a few tribes, they think. The Matoran, so they think there's just a few tribes that are crazy because, oh, Makura Terrax is still alive. Because he isn't, but he is. Because they keep warning off their attacks, but they're getting stronger. And they have found out that the next attack of the New Brotherhood is going to be Rakanui, which is basically the holy ground for the entire planet. Because that's where the new temple of the Toa is situated. Some old ruins that they refurbished. Rakanui is like the second biggest hub. Every single species, every single personality, but you have to be like invited to go there, or basically like it's the university. You write a letter or something to it. They say if you're accepted or not. Yeah, basically the Holy Land, because that's the place where the Ma. It's the home of the Toa. That's where they all live. That's where they all do Toa stuff, the Toa training. Because in my universe, there is something as training to become like a Toa, like Glatorians, Toran, whatever you call it. Everybody can apply to train or to become a protector of the planet, basically. And they're going to talk about one of them, which is I lost his mask. Oh, there he is. Because Matanui reformed the planet, a couple of new elements came into existence, also because of technology, which got advanced. This here is some guy I call Kronos. He has a settlement on Rakanui where it's just him and new type of Toran, the Matoran of Steel. He's the Toa of Steel. Very similar to like Toa of Stone, but this guy can also control technology. But sadly, during the first ever raid on Rakanui by the Brotherhood, he got infected because they specifically attacked his home base to get him under control. They mutated his arm. It used to look like this, just a normal, use like a normal axe as a weapon or something. But now it just uses this, and you can also spew molten steel because you don't steel molten steel out, and it basically becomes like a new menace. Only a few of the Matoran in the settlement sadly survive. We all flee to the new Takoro settlement, which brings in their heads keep falling off. I don't know what. Brings in this guy. Of course, because it's been a very, very long time ago, I have forgotten his name. He's a funky dude. Basically, in this timeline, from this moment forward, you don't have to be specifically to be one element. Like you don't have to be a Gamator, Tamator. Even some Agori have gone physical changes, modifications, body modifications to become Tauren, just because everybody can be whoever they want to be. That's one of the biggest things I want to tell my story. This guy is technically not a Toa, but Matanui made basically a new element. And the Turaga just said, hey, we're going to give you some power so you can Toa, which sadly became downfall because he was so powerful. But this guy here is I just pressed that's not good. This guy, a scientist, the City of Light. He's all like, hey, I am thinking of technologies that could benefit the people of Rakanui everywhere. Because he's developing some sort of, they're all robots, but he's developing a special kind of AI that, this is something I have actually been struggling with trying to write, because it's the main part of the story, is creating an AI based on memories. It's basically like a concept I invented. It's called a blink. Like if you have a mask that's powerful, let's just take Generation 2 Liwa here. Let's say this is a powerful mask. This has elemental powers. And the user that wears it becomes connected to it. Because of course the mind has connected the multi-talent to do stuff. A blink is when the user is killed in action, a bit of their personality stays behind inside of the mask. Basically, like if he were to like be killed, they could technically be revived or preserved inside of the mask. Not fully, because the technology in the universe isn't there yet. We don't know how it works, because that's even something that great beings, except for one, find out later. But this fella, which of course I sadly have a name about, he is developing tech that could use those in machines. Basically like Vaki, like automated machines that can protect an area. So he's going to develop that tech. And the Toa of Rakanui have said, hey, we are willing to help you. We have top scientists in the new Takoro settlement. We're willing to help you in exchange for that you help them get one of their fallen brothers back. Well, the story has to happen. So he gets sent to the island, makes a few new friends, yada yada yada, everything is going well. And he is starting to build a prototype. A prototype of what he calls the hero machine, hero's machine. And it's basically very, very bulky mechanical golem. And they try everything to make it work. Remote controlling it works. Sending it commands through computer systems and saying like do this, do that, it works. But it's not adapting to situations. So then he thinks, what if we use a blink? Which of course is technology that isn't quite talked about, because you're taking the dead man's memories, planting them into a body that is, they don't know they are anymore. And so he's trying to find stuff to mimic. He's trying to implement his own memories inside of a mask, just work, because they're not actually the spirit of the person. Then, on a special dig site, because they are still looking for technology from great beings, they find a capsule, which I have talked about before. They open it, find what looks to be like a very, very old um, lift in space, which activates entry. It drops a single mask from the receptacle. It's this one. In lore, it's basically like a prototype version of that, like the mask that Deacon, Tahu, Jalar wear. But I chose this one because it's basically the old one I have, and it's basically my second favorite mask. And he analyzes it, looks at it, he says it has a remnant of a blink, but not exactly. Like when he researches it, it looks like it's almost thinking. He takes it back and he starts fiddling with it, and he puts it on the drone body and he activates it. Nothing. Leaves it on for quite a while. Suddenly, starts to slowly move its head, looking around, taking its surroundings, and decides time to wake it up. Well, somebody is very scared that he's in suddenly a new location he's never seen before. He doesn't know who he is, where he comes from. Runs outside and finds the world in front of him. All of the Matoran in the new Takoro settlement. Wow, the machine works. He's not like a machine. Wait, who am I? Where am I? He of course gets told the story, basically what he's supposed to be, which is just a mindless drone that knows how to fight. Over time, he discovers things about himself, and his new best friend is basically his creator. He tells him, go back. We need to go back to the capital. So they go back. And they find artifacts, of course. One thing is immediately attracted to him, which is this device. Basically, the spikes are at that moment attracted, and it almost feels like it's calling to the mask user, which at this point remembers a name it has been given, or actually is his name, which say Akume, which I basically took from the word magnet in the Maori language. This thing gives him magnetic powers, or rather, he realizes he's a master of magnetics. He can control things magnetically. Anything that has magnetic properties, or he can even give magnetic properties, the moment that he connects this thing to staff, control it. Which is still a story type thing. I still think it's a bit strange, but it's basically the core of this character. I can't help myself. I'm able to change it. I won't change it. So suck it. Well, yeah. Of course, the attacks that were said to be, they still come. They get into a fight, and Akume, still not knowing who he is, helps out. But hey, good at being a hero. He even helps Kronos to snap out of his trance, realize I have to destroy the device that's basically brainwashing himself and some of his people, which were also brainwashed in the attack, to go free. He sacrificed himself at the moment. Realizing this, Akume he doesn't know what to do because he wanted to save those people. He wanted to save Kronos, but he didn't know why he would do that. Sacrifice. This guy, of course, tells him something like, "Speak with the mask of life." It maybe something. Very much other storylines such, but that's basically the first part of my story. Just 100 years after the original story, this guy awakens inside of a body. He has no memories of the past. All he knows is he has some sort of feeling that he has to protect the people of this planet to any means necessary. But because he's there, he has connections to the great beings because his mask is a prototype for the original house without actual powers, but basically a spirit, a ghost inside of it that precedes every single living like Matoran and Toa, even before the great spirit. This guy is older than any civilization on the planet, and he doesn't know it. So I don't think about should I even continue with this right now. Um, so yeah, this guy, he of course panics because hey, we just lost a good chunk of our army, and there's a new powerful guy on the island that is teaming up with Toomari and Takanuva. Didn't say this before, but I talked about the expedition that the Takanuva were on. Takanuva isn't there. Takanuva is staying behind on Spherus Magna, basically keep everything a little bit in line. He's not ruling the world or planet with the council, which is just a rebranded name of the Order of Matanui. But yeah, he's just there to taps. He's basically the boss of the island. So yeah, this guy starts attacking Akume like, hey, you destroyed basically our army. I'm going to kill you. Bam. Gets his weapons taken away like a child. Like, hey, let's just get that. And don't come back. Of course he's going to come. He's going to come back with a bigger army. But yeah, that's the end of the story. Akume just defeats an army which watches someone sacrifice their life. Which really moves him. Like, they don't have to do that. He had to. Of course, the way I'm speaking, you can probably already see like this story is very convoluted, no thread at all. That's why I haven't written it down, because it's all inside of my head. But hey, it's 20 years since the bionicle started. It has been 5 to even 6 years since I made this up. I have to info dump it somewhere. And I said that. But basically, at that point, the story at the end of the first part is going to be many more technologies of the great beings is going to be found. Auto. Who is going to control it? Of course, Akume gets these new scroll blades, weapons, because why not? Because he apparently, somehow, without ever touched any of these weapons, knows a lot about them, but to use them, and such. So then, of course, hey, this little guy is going to back to his boss like, hey, we may have a problem that's going to slow down our progress of world domination. So like, hey, I know something that's going to work out that will give us an unstoppable army. It's going to involve this guy, a lot of upgrades to the design, Akume. But I think I am going to stop it there, sadly, because I don't have much to say, and I'd rather do these parts, like these info dumps, part by part. So if anyone that's still watching has any questions, please leave them in the live chat right now. I can read them if you're still watching, that is. be focusing on chat for a moment. Go off. There we go. If anyone has any questions, because I have no basically idea of things to say at the moment, but if anyone has ideas, tell me. Or questions. You know what? I'm going to place thing back on Twitter again. So ask any questions that you have. If you have them, please ask me, because I have basically no idea what I am talking about. I'm going to turn the music back on. So. All right. Does it work? Also, the camera is not going back on. If anyone was asking, use my phone. And cellular device. Wait. I could always, if this segment is going nowhere, I can always go play a game again. Could do that. I could do that. Yeah, I'm going to be playing a game. You know what? That sounds fun. Let's see. What do I still have? Hard drive. Hello, welcome to the chat. I just saw someone pop in. You basically, if you're wondering if you missed anything, you just missed me ranting for an hour, or info dumping, not ranting, info dumping my complete bionicle story. But I'm just getting into the questions, if there are questions. But I may think just to I'm going to pick some games. Or one. Let's see. I have some very relaxing game. May have to mute the desktop audio format. There we go. Gone is the music. The music has been deleted. Paint also gone at the same time. It's just going to be disastrous. But yeah, that was in my ear. I'm sure you guys did not hear that. Audio is very loud. I'm going to go down Alt tab and I'm going to make a new scene. Where is it? Game capture. There we go. If everyone can see it. I to shit on my chat. I don't know if it works. But yeah, yes, there it is. I can finally see it. This is a very charming game I recently found on Steam. It's called Townscaper. And you can basically create, well, a little ocean town. Look there. It's more squared off. Basically make like, hey, there's a little rock outcropping. This house. Oh, very different colors. I love this game. It's really cute, really charming. Look at this. And you can basically combine very many colors. Just going to relax for a moment. You know what? Yeah. Do you have any questions? You can leave them in chat. Love to read them. I'm going to show you some of my other creations. This one. Just remember, turn the audio. There you go. It also has a very satisfying noise, in my opinion. Doing this, but like, this game is only like €5 on Steam, but it's so worth it. I've been recently, when I'm feeling a little bit down, I just start playing this because it's just very interesting, in my opinion. And I've heard like there are updates coming out very frequently, so that's a good thing. So yeah, I'm going to be playing this for just a little bit. If there are no more questions coming in, I'll just end stream then. Hold on, I have to sneeze. Yeah. Thank you. To open one, just working. We can make entire castles just their own little island. It's very charming. I also love that there are so many details. Like the creator of the game didn't have to do this. Like it didn't have to make it so fun, but you see even like subtle changes in the way it's placed. It's very, very wonderful. I like games like this. Cute. And someone like me, like, just can spend hours on like, I just made a little tower. Just off to the side. Like, it has no use. It has basically no use. It has like two doors very awkwardly sitting next to each other, but it looks cute. It looks cool. No, sorry for the yeah. You know, this year's Bionicle Day has been a little bit sour for me and many others, mainly because of the entire tragedy, and yes, I'm calling it a tragedy of the whole Bricklink debacle. I know, I know people don't really have like money laying around, because I certainly don't, but a lot of people that were saying like, yes, make this happen, make the new Bionicle happen, like, oh, they didn't fall through, which it was very disappointing to say the least. Like, I understand everything. I do, I really do, but very disappointed just to see the reactions of the people that disagreed and the ones that, it's like watching friends fight, you know, never feels good. But what are you going to do? You can't do anything. You just have to sit and watch as this just became sad. I'm sorry. But yeah, seeing chat getting quiet, so I think I'm going to be calling it. Uh, okay. I want to thank everyone that was watching. Later, I want not this week, or whatever. But I do want to continue this series because I do find it fun to go info dumping for a while instead of keeping it all inside of my head. So next time I'll try to find every single mock that is relevant to the second part of the story, and I'll try to make it a little bit more interesting. But yeah, I'm trying to go back into the YouTubing thing again, not for money of course, because heck, nobody's going to earn anything with business anymore. Very shitty system. But I hope everyone that was watching enjoyed it, and everyone that's still watching, very much thank you, and I hope you have a great Bionicle day. Have a very enjoyable evening, day, midday, whatever you're having, and I will see you next time. Have a good